KNBC, Los Angeles.
This is News Center 4, the 11 p.m. edition with John Schubeck, Stu Nahan Sports, Pat Sajak Weather, and Robin Groth with the Nightside Report. Now here is John Schubeck.
Thank you very much.
Trisha Toyota, Jim Thomas, Stu Nahan Sports, Kevin O'Connell Weather, Observer Ron Hendren. This is News for LA at 5.
I want you to come east on Ventura Boulevard and then turn north on Balboa, up to the Ventura Freeway, and start heading east. Trisha Toyota, John Deere, Stu Nahan Sports, Kevin O'Connell Weather, and Nightside Reporters, Kirsty Wilde and Pete Pepper. This is News for LA, Nightside. Good evening.
News for LA, the late Sunday edition with Frank Cruz and Carol Hutchison. Fritz Coleman with the weather, and Fred Rogan with a special expanded Sunday edition of Sports for LA. Now, News for LA at 11.
Good evening.
Kirsty Wilde, John Deere. News for LA at 4. Number 1 in Southern California. Fred Rogan Sports, Fritz Coleman Weather, David Horowitz Close-Up. This is News for LA at 4.
Now, John Beard, Kirsty Wilde, Kevin O'Connell Weather, Fred Rogan Sports. News for LA, number 1 at 4.
Good afternoon, everybody. A strong earthquake.
Nick Clooney, Trisha Toyota, News for LA. Kevin O'Connell Weather, Stu Nahan Sports, Nightside Reporters Carla Aragon and Phil Schumann. This is News for LA, Nightside.
Good evening, everyone. 5.
Kirsty Wilde, John Beard, Fred Rogan Sports, Fritz Coleman Weather, and Carol Hutchison Health. Channel 4 News, number 1 at 4. Kelly Lang, Nick Clooney, Stu Nahan Sports, Fritz Coleman Weather, David Sheehan Entertainment, and David Horowitz Close-Up. Channel 4 News at 5. Kirsty Wilde, John Beard, Fred Rogan Sports, Fritz Coleman Weather, and Doug Kriegel Money Matters. Channel 4 News at 6. Good evening. Nick Clooney, Kelly Lang, Fritz Coleman Weather, Stu Nahan Sports, Jack Perkins Cover Story, and David Sheehan Entertainment. Channel 4 News, number 1 at 11.
Good evening.
Linda Alvarez, Bill Lagatuda, Christopher Nance Weather, and Andy Lascano Sports. Channel 4 News, Weekend.
Good evening.
Carla Aragon, Ken Shocknick, Christopher Nance Weather, Fred Rogan Sports. This is Today in LA. John Beard, Linda Alvarez, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports, and David Horowitz Fight Back. Channel 4 News at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our top story.
Keith Morrison, Kelly Lang, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports, David Horowitz Fight Back, David Sheehan Entertainment, and Jess Marlowe Commentary. Channel 4 News at 5.
Good evening.
Kelly Lang, Keith Morrison, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports, and Doug Kriegel Money Matters. Channel 4 News at 6.
Good evening, tops.
John Beard, Kelly Lang, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports, and Jess Marlowe Cover Story. Channel 4 News Lights On, number 1 at 11. Live in Southern California, this is Channel 4 News at 4.
It's President Clinton and
Live in Southern California, this is Channel 4 News at 5.
this man says he...
Live in Southern California, this is Channel 4 News at 6.
They look like regular bees.
Live in Southern California, this is Channel 4 News at 11.
You are watching Channel 4 News, coverage you can count on. Now, live in Southern California, this is Channel 4 News at 11.
This is the inmate.
Now, Paul Moyer, Kelly Lang, Fritz Coleman Weather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 newscast, the Channel 4 News at 11. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Kent Shocknick, Kathy Vara, Christopher Nance AccuWeather, and Paul Johnson Metro Traffic. This is Today in LA, Southern California's #1 morning news. Good. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Kent Shocknick, Kathy Vara, Christopher Nance AccuWeather, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 11 a.m. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Kent Shocknick, Kathy Vara, and Paul Johnson AccuWeather, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 11 a.m. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Kelly Lang, Chuck Henry, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 4. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Chuck Henry, Michelle Ruiz, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, and Fred Rogan Sports. This is the Emmy-winning Channel 4 News at 4.
We start off here.
Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Kelly Lang, Chuck Henry, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 4:30. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 5. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 5:30. Live from NBC4, the station working for you, Chuck Henry, Kelly Mack, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 6. Live from NBC4, the station working for you. Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, Fred Rogan Sports, Southern California's #1 news, the Channel 4 News at 11. Live from NBC4, the station working for you. Jim Giggins, Tracy Savage, and Angie Austin AccuWeather. This is Today in LA Weekend, Southern California's #1 morning news. Live from NBC4, the station working for you. Rick Chambers, Diane Diaz, Paul Johnson AccuWeather, Carlos Del Valle Sports, Southern California's #1 weekend news, the Channel 4 News at 5. Live from NBC4, the station working for you. Rick Chambers, Diane Diaz, Paul Johnson AccuWeather, Carlos Del Valle Sports, Southern California's #1 weekend news, the Channel 4 News at 5:30. Live from your home for the 2000 Olympic Games, Colleen Williams, Paul Moyer, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, and Fred Rogan Sports. This is the Channel 4 News at 5:30. Coverage you can count on. Live from your home for the 2000 Olympic Games, Kelly Mack, Chuck Henry, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, and Fred Rogan Sports. This is the Channel 4 News at 6. Coverage you can count on.
This team.
Live, the Channel 4 News at 5. Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, and Fred Rogan Sports. Coverage you can count on.
It is
live from NBC4. This is Today in LA.
Good morning. It is
Live, the Channel 4 News at 11. Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman AccuWeather, and Fred Rogan Sports. Coverage you can count on.
Live from NBC4, Kelly Mack, David Cruz, and Christopher Nance AccuWeather. This is the Channel 4 News at 11 a.m.
Live from NBC4. This is the Channel 4 News at 5:30. You're watching the Channel 4 News at 11 with Paul Moyer, Colleen Williams, Fritz Coleman Weather, and Fred Rogan Sports. From NBC4, the Southland's #1 late news, the Channel 4 News at 11. Live from NBC4, this is the Channel 4 News at 5.
And we begin.
Live from NBC4, this is the Channel 4 News at 6.
And here at 6 o'clock, we'll...
Live from NBC4, this is the Channel 4 News at 6. Live from NBC4, this is the Channel 4 News at 11.
Tonight, a homicide.
Live from NBC4, the Southland's #1 late news, the Channel 4 News at 11.
Southern California emergency room certainly.
Live, you're watching Today in LA.
Good morning, it's
Live, you're watching NBC4 LA News at 5. Live, you're watching NBC4 LA News at 6. Live, you're watching NBC4 LA News at 11. NBC4 News at 6 starts now.
It's here.
This is Today in LA at 6.
They didn't know they had it, but now they can't live with it.
NBC4 News at 11 a.m. starts now.
Actor Kevin Spacey.